White House proposes caps on student loan borrowing. The Trump administration on Monday proposed new limits on federal student loans taken out by parents and graduate students as part of a broader proposal to curb the cost of college. White House officials included the plan in a list of suggested changes to the Higher Education Act, a sweeping federal law that governs student lending. The legislation is. Ivanka Trump, the daughter and advisor of President Donald Trump, unveiled the plan at a meeting of the National Council for the American Worker, an advisory group that Ivanka Trump helps lead. A primary goal of the proposal is to curb the growth of college tuition rates and reduce the nation's student debt load, which has reached nearly $1.5 trillion and has more than tripled since 2003. The White House's proposed solution is to cap federal loan programs available to students' parents and to graduate students. The plan doesn't. Underpinning that idea is a belief that colleges are largely responsible for the nation's debt woes. The White House says colleges often argue they have been forced to raise tuition to make up for reduced funding from their states. Many Democrats, Senior Patty Murray, N. Borrower advocates said they welcome attention to the topic but don't think the White House plan will help. Federal loans for James Ball, president of the nonprofit Institute for College Access and Success, said the plan takes the wrong approach, adding that there's no they. White House officials say they also want to simplify the loan repayment process, a goal shared with Senior Lamar Alexander. Lamar said it is helpful to have the White House's perspective as he works with Democrats on the overhaul. Several items on the White House's wish list were also included in the Education Department's budget proposal for next year, including the elimination of public service loan forgiveness, a program that can erase debt for certain borrowers after 120 months of repayment. Instead, the White House says all federal borrowers should get undergraduate debt wiped clean after 180 months of repayment. Education Secretary Betsy DeVos praised the White House plan as an. The White House is also asking Congress to make federal Pell Grants available to be used in short-term certificate programs, and to take other steps intended to help workers gain skills outside of traditional colleges and universities. Congress is still in the early stages of its work to reauthorize the Higher Education Act. Alexander has. Follow Colin Binkley on Twitter at
Raindrop, drop top, top smoking, no cooking the hot pot. Fucking on your bitch, yeah, that.